requested to be in Sioux Falls. I really didn't want to travel. I was nervous about that, and I requested oncology and hospice. I was interested in those two areas. Very limiting, but that's kind of what I was gravitating towards, so that's what I requested. That's not what I got at all. I got put in a rural hospital. It's a brand new hospital, but it was an hour away. At first I was a culture shock. I was like, oh no, I'm gonna have to drive an hour each way. But it turned out to be the best experience I ever had. And I'm so thankful that she did that.
I was placed at a critical care access hospital that was about an hour and a half from Sioux Falls. There was 2 nurses staff for all ERs, inpatients, outpatients, any kind of care patient that you would get that day. We did so many different things, and I performed almost every skill that I learned in school, and being able to gain that confidence in myself while performing those. Oh yeah, every single nurse was so thankful, and they were always willing to teach me new things and take me with them to show their findings that they saw in an assessment or different ways to do a skill that they thought would be easier for me. They were just so helpful.
I really wanted to stay in Sioux Falls. I've got young kids, and so driving was not really something that I was super excited about. So I ended up being placed at my second choice site, and I was a little bit disappointed initially, but after my meeting with my nurses, I was pretty excited about it. I was about 40 miles outside of Sioux Falls. I was nervous about the drive. That was the biggest thing. I was really anxious about driving, especially in the winter, and worried about having to be overnight away from my family. But the hospital that I ended up at, tons of opportunities. I was pretty excited about that. We got to spend time in the emergency department. We got to spend time in OB. Also got to see some C-sections, a couple of vaginal deliveries, quite a few emergency department patients, and also med-surg patients and swing bed patients.
I was actually hoping for a rural area, just because I already come from a rural area, so that was kind of a nice-ish factor for me. I did get placed at a rural hospital. It still was about a 30-minute drive, so I still had to drive to get there, but it was beneficial, I thought. So it's a very small hospital. It's like 12 beds. It does have an ER. Since it's located about 40 minutes from a major hospital, it's called critical access. The staff wasn't very large for nursing wise, usually only 2 on at a time. During weekdays there was other RNs around, but mostly just those two to both do the floor and the ER at the same time. We got to do pretty much anything and everything. If we saw anything, anything that came through the ER, we helped with transport to like CT scans and lab and anything like that. You kind of did everything when you were there. A lot of people really appreciate that there is a rural area hospital, because that way they don't have to drive for like dressing changes or infusions or anything like that. The staff is trained to do that too, so they don't have to drive as far. So the patients are really appreciative for that.
I would definitely suggest a rural hospital, just because you get that different scenarios from patients. In a larger hospital, you don't get to do everything for the patient like you do in a smaller town. So just being able to use that knowledge that you learn in nursing school more effectively and performing all of those skills.
Some words of advice is not to really worry about having to drive or anything like that. The experiences make up for it. I mean, you get to see everybody in the ER, in the ED. You also get to take care of patients in swing bed, or even if they're only there for a couple days, you get to see that. Instead of only seeing, the same thing on the same floor every day, you really get to see a broad area of things.
I think being open-minded about where you're placed is the best thing that you can do, and just make the best of it no matter where you end up. It was the best experience I could have asked for. I loved being there.